Chosen ones, some things don't reveal themselves immediately, not because they are hidden, but because they are meant to be felt before they are understood. Deep water is like that. From the surface, it looks calm, simple, uncomplicated. But the longer you look at it, something shifts. Not fear, not confusion, just a quiet awareness that there is more here than what the eye can explain. Hello, my friend, and I want to start by saying something clearly to you. There is nothing wrong with you for being the way you are. In fact, some ways of being are not meant to be explained away. They are meant to be understood slowly, with respect. And your presence may be one of those things. You might have noticed over time that people don't always react to you in a simple way. Sometimes they look longer than expected. Sometimes they seem more thoughtful around you. Some people feel comfortable quickly around you. Others become more observant. Some don't fully know how to place you at first, not in a negative sense, but in a way that suggests your presence leaves an impression that isn't immediately defined. And I want you to hear this correctly. That is not something you need to fix, and it is not something you are doing wrong. It is simply how certain people are experienced. There are people who blend into a room easily, and there are people who don't, not because they try to stand out, but because something about them carries a different kind of depth, one that isn't fully processed in a single moment. And you may be one of them. You don't always announce yourself loudly. You don't always reveal what you feel immediately. You take your time before speaking, before reacting, before showing everything inside you. And because of that, people experience you in layers, not in a single impression. But here is what matters most. This is not a flaw in your presence. It is not something strange. It is simply a different rhythm of being understood. And not everyone is quick to understand things that are layered. Some things in life are not recognized instantly. They are recognized gradually and then remembered deeply. So if you have ever felt like people don't fully get you at first glance, or that your presence sometimes carries a weight you didn't intend, don't rush to interpret that as something being wrong. Instead, see it differently. Maybe you are not meant to be defined quickly. Maybe you are meant to be experienced slowly, not as something confusing, but as something intentional, something that carries more presence than explanation. There is something important you should understand about depth. It is never random. Things that carry depth usually serve a purpose that is not obvious at first glance. Think about a tree with deep roots. When the weather is calm, nobody notices the roots. People only see the surface, the branches, the leaves, the visible shape. But when storms arrive, that hidden structure becomes everything. The roots are what keep the tree standing when everything around it begins to bend, not in appearance, in presence. There are moments in life when people don't need noise, advice, or performance. They need something steady, something that does not collapse emotionally every time pressure appears. And without realizing it, some people naturally become that for others. Not because they planned to, but because life quietly built that strength into them over time. I want you to see something more clearly now. What you experience is not a typical misunderstanding. It is not simply people not getting you. It is that some things cannot be fully measured in the first encounter. And when something cannot be measured quickly, people pay attention to it differently. That is why certain presences leave an after effect, even after the interaction ends. Like when you leave the ocean, the water is no longer in front of you, but something inside you still feels quieter than before. You may have experienced that with people. Not intensity, not drama, just a lingering impression that doesn't disappear quickly. And here is the part most people never realize. That effect is not something you force. It happens naturally, when your inner world is not fully exposed on the surface. Now let's go a layer deeper. Think about icebergs. What you see above the water is only a fraction of what actually exists. The visible part is not the full truth. It is only the introduction. The real structure exists underneath, unseen but essential. And if you remove that unseen part, the visible part could not survive on its own. Some human beings are like that too. What others see is not the full system. It is only the surface expression of something deeper that is not immediately spoken or displayed. This is why people sometimes misread calmness as distance, or silence as emptiness, or observation as detachment. But those are incomplete conclusions. They are simply early interpretations, and early interpretations are almost always imperfect. There is a reason certain people develop this kind of presence. Life does not shape everyone in the same way. Some people are shaped through exposure. Others are shaped through reflection. Some are taught to express everything outwardly to be understood, and others learn over time to process things internally before revealing them outwardly. Neither is better, but they create very different experiences in how the world responds to them. And now I want to bring this closer to you. Because you are not just observing this pattern, you are living inside it. There are things you may have carried quietly for years, thoughts you never fully explained, emotions you processed alone, decisions you made internally long before anyone else noticed them. And because of that, people do not always meet a finished version of you immediately. They meet a partial expression, and their mind tries to complete the rest. This is often where misunderstanding begins, not because you are unclear, but because you are not instantly visible in full. And yet, there is something powerful in that, because the things people do not immediately understand are often the things they remember the longest. Not everything meaningful announces itself loudly. Some things stay in a person's mind quietly and grow heavier with meaning after the moment has already passed, like a sentence that seemed ordinary at first, but returns to someone hours later with a completely different weight. That is how depth works, not through force, but through persistence in memory. And here is something you should hear clearly. You were not designed to be fully contained in a first impression. Not everything in you is meant to be visible immediately. Some parts of you only become clear through time, experience, and closeness. And that is not a flaw in your expression. It is part of your structure. Because not everything valuable is instantly consumable. Some things require time before their meaning fully reveals itself. And when you stop judging yourself by instant readability, something changes in the way you carry yourself. Less pressure to explain. Less need to perform clarity, more space to simply exist as you are. And ironically, that is often when people begin to understand you more clearly. Not because you changed, but because you stopped compressing yourself into something smaller than what you are. Chosen ones, some people are fireworks. They capture attention for a moment and disappear quickly. But others are like deep roots beneath a mountain, quiet, unseen, lasting. And maybe that is why your presence was never meant to impress people instantly. Maybe it was meant to stay with them long after you are gone.